Hello everyone, my name is Pawan and I'm new to Bipin's channel. Thank you Bipin for giving me an opportunity to make a video in your channel. And so today I'm going to talk about a very good technology in Java world. So if you are new to Spring and new to enterprise level application development, so this would be a good video for you to watch. I'm going to talk about a very good technology called Spring MVC. It's one of the most popular module to develop web application based on Spring. And yeah, so Spring Spring MVC is going to be our topic for today. And before going to Spring MVC, I want to talk about something like some architecture that Spring MVC uses. So it is MVC architecture. So basically, M means model. So basically, and view is our UI layer, and C is the controller. So basically, controller is responsible to taking the request from the client, process it, and then use bind the model data. So once again, I'm gonna say controller is going to handle the user's request, right? And while doing so, it might need to bind this model data and then generate a view. This view is actually nothing but UI that is going to be generated into our client's machine, or to our browser or anything. And so that is the behind the scenes, the architecture that Spring MVC uses. And so basically, what I wanted to also share with you guys is how J2E architecture is in software development, enterprise level application development works. So basically, we usually have like 4 different layers. So that is how our application is divided into, so that there is loose coupling of the code, and we can reuse components as much as we can, and it makes your code really readable and also really maintainable and testable. So if you get problems, you will easily debug it. So let's get started. So we have controllers that will take the user's request, right? And there is service layer that will have all the business logic, and there is a DAO layer that will talk to the database, and we have entities that are that are the data that we actually work on. So basically, that's how all of the architecture work, and MVC also works in this pattern. So the entities that we have, for example, there might be customer entity, you know and employee, all those kind of entities. And basically, the code to access database, write to the database and work the database goes here, our business logic goes here, and the controller is for handling the request. So that was like a quick overview of what J2E architecture is basically like. And I want to talk about our main topic here, Spring MVC. So again, how does a web application actually work? So there is a client, right? There is a client. This is supposed to be a laptop if you don't understand. And then there is a server. There is a client and there is a server that is uh, taking care, that is waiting for a request that can handle, right? And the client will place a request to the server, and it will get back something as a response from client, right? It could be anything like a view page, web page, or anything like a JSON object or anything. So in this case, we are only going to see about the object, view pages, sorry. And then so basically, in Spring MVC, what we have is, instead of server taking all the requests and processing them, we have what something we call as a dispatcher servlet, right? So this is let me draw that again. So we have something called as dispatcher servlet, or we also call this as a front controller. So this is basically the heart of Spring MVC. Everything happens because of the dispatcher servlet in Spring MVC. So what happens is, after a client places a request, it goes to dispatcher servlet. Every request that is placed by client goes to dispatcher servlet, and the dispatcher servlet takes the help of something we call as handler mapper, you know and using handler mapper, it will delegate that request that it has received from the client, and then handler mapper will return the name of the controller that will handle our request, right? So we might have multiple controllers in our application, and we don't know which controller will handle which request, and we need to have some kind of a mapper to find exactly which controller will handle our request and generate a response, right? So handler mapper comes in the picture, and it will take in the request and just give the name of the controller that is going to handle that request. And then after we have the name of the controller, the dispatcher servlet will now send that request to the nothing else, just the controller, and then it will send that request, the same request that we got from the client, right? So we get request from the client, we will send that same request to the controller that is going to handle our request. So the controller, what it's going to do is, it's going to handle our request, it's going to basically process our request, and it is going to generate a view name. So basically, let's say we have a controller, uh, and it basically returns a view name. A view name could be something like just a string type, and it would be used by some other component to generate the exactly what view name we have. Second. Okay. Yeah. So this controller will basically return a view name, and that view name could be a string type, and that view name would then be uh, also contain like model data with it. So controller, what it does is, there is a controller that will take care of the request, process it, and then bind it, and then create a view name and bind model data to it. Model is nothing but an object, plain old Java object that we use in order to um, manipulate the database and stuff. So that's what controller does. It returns the view name, and using the help of view resolver is another um, component in Spring MVC, and it's going to take the name of the view name that is returned by the controller, and it is going to generate an actual view. So what I mean by view name and actual view is, there is a little bit difference. So controller is just going to return the string type of view name, right? So basically, if we have a controller, it is going to return something like um, customers, right? That's all. That's what the controller method. uh, let's say we have a public string get customers method, and it's going to, like, there could be a steps that will be taking, and it so basically, this is what controller method looks like, and it returns like string type. It could also return a model and view type. You could do any other way, but I prefer it this way. And then we could bind some data into it, so we can, before this, we can have like model data to be binded here. So let's say we want to bind customers data here. It will return the customer's view name along with the model data. So that's that. And so it's going to return customers, right? Controllers is going to return view name would be customers. And what the view resolver does is it's going to append like the location of where this view name is. So it could be inside web INF folder, inside views folder, something like customers, and then also append the file type. So customers.csv, this is actual view name. This is the actual view we're talking about, and the view name is something, just the view name would be just customers. So that's that. And after, just give me a second here. Okay, so after the view resolver returns the actual view, now we also have the model data coming from the controller, right? So we are going to bind that model data to our view component. Is like basically it's going to bind that model data into our JSP file, and then it's going to return static. It's going to send the model to that view, to the view that is generated from the view resolver, and it's going to pass the model data. It's going to bind, and it's going to return a static page, and that static page will be, it will be sent back to the dispatcher servlet, and the dispatcher servlet will send that static page as response to the client, and the client would be able to render that page. So basically, if we, let's say we have a table of customers and want to name and all the stuff, we can have a table of customers or any other data. So that will be rendered here. And yeah, that's all. So basically, a request comes in, goes to dispatcher servlet, handler mapper gives you the controller name, controller will handle the control request, gives you the view name would be sent to the view resolver, gives you the actual view, and then in the actual view we bind the model data, and then we return the static page, and that will be sent to the client. So this is our client, it will be sent. So basically that's it. And it might look complex, but just go through the article a couple of times, and I think it should be fairly simple for you guys to understand. And yeah, that's all for me today. And if you guys have any questions on this video, just write some comments below. And thumbs up to Bipin, he's doing a pretty good job here. And subscribe to his channel, like and comment, and share this guy. He's going to watch out for this guy. He's going to upload a lot of videos soon. And I'll see you guys in next video. Thank you.